And now is our time for meditation, so I invite you to get things out of your lap and get your feet firmly planted on the floor. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. Center yourself into this time and space where you have nowhere else you have to be, nothing you have to do. But just be present now. Breathing in that beautiful breath of God, we begin to feel our bodies relax as we let the chair support us. Breathing in and breathing out. Now I invite you to go with me as we visit your favorite forest. Because within this forest is your favorite tree. There is a tree that stands so magnificently. It stands out to you because it's calling you to come and rest. Come and rest your weary body beneath its beautiful branches and leaves in the wonderful shade. So you travel to this tree that's calling you. And you sit beneath it and you lean your back up against the trunk of this magnificent tree. Feel that strength of the trunk of that tree. And as you're breathing in and breathing out, just imagine that you are breathing that beautiful tree energy into your body, increasing the love in your heart and sending down through the bottoms of your feet, roots into the earth, all through the layers into the core, the groundedness. As you sit and absorb this beautiful energy, and as it comes back up those magnificent roots right up into your body, nourishing every cell, atom, tissue, organ, and system in your body with divine life. And as we sit and feel this magnificent strength, I invite you to ask your higher self a question. What is it that you might do or be in order to feel rest in your soul? What is this thing that would give you total peace and relaxation? And we ask this now of our higher self in the silence. You know, your soul always knows what it is that you need, probably even before you desire it in your heart. And so I invite you to contemplate your question later in the day or later in the week. Because in order for our soul to grow, we have to find how it is that we can rest in God, how that we can wait for the Lord of our being to show us the way so that we can truly be that light and that love that we came here to be. We're so grateful for the time of quiet, the time to listen to our soul nudging us to be kind and loving to ourselves. And to practice that presence of God in us in every moment of every day. And so now we thank our beautiful tree as we rise from our forest experience and bring ourselves back into the sanctuary, knowing that we can go visit this magnificent tree anytime for some of that nature wisdom that feeds our souls. And as we bring our attention back into this room, whenever you're ready, just open your beautiful eyes. I could see some of you went to magnificent places. I love the expressions in your eyes. So I had a period in my life. In fact, it was like an 18-month period, and it was subsequently right after my husband, Ray, my sweet, beautiful husband, made his transition in 2018. Was between that time and when the pandemic started. I must have sustained at least 5 falls. Silly things, you know, bumps and bruises, a little scratch here and there. I fell in pickleball. I fell out here on the grounds trying to move something I shouldn't been moving. I tripped over some bricks at my house. I mean, I just did silly things. And the biggest thing that came out of it was one small hairline fracture in my foot. But Matt, my son, came up to me and he said, "Mom, the universe is trying to tell you something. I think you need to slow down." You see, we have this tendency to want to keep moving through whatever it is that's in our lives that's causing us to not feel like ourselves. And so in order to not feel grief, it just helped me to just do church 24/7. You know, I was just going all the time. And it's just a coping mechanism that we use to avoid pain. It's what we do. You know, if we're busy, we don't have to think. We don't have to feel, right? And so today we're talking about how we don't want to bypass that discomfort necessarily. We're going to talk about allowing soul growth and unity, because we're working on zeal this month, has a beautiful video that I want to share with you about our zeal. When I'm watching that video, I know some of you are doing those things. You are living these passionate lives. and you're enjoying living in paradise and creating these days filled with zeal. So let's say our affirmation together. I ignite my zeal by focusing on what brings me joy. And of course, what was bringing me joy, those 18 months of Five Falls, was doing work for the church. That's what was bringing me joy. So that's how I sort of kept myself busy all the time. But nowadays, I don't even like that word busy. I've sort of changed it to when someone says, you know, how are you doing? I'll say, my life is really full, you know. I love my life. My life is very full. Doesn't that sound better than I'm busy? I'm so busy. I'm so busy, you know. Who wants to hear that? Everybody's got stuff going on, but my life is full, and for that I am grateful. And I am filled with zeal every day when I roll out of bed because I get to do stuff with you guys and get to plan services and things and classes. And so this video and this affirmation this month, it reminded me of that unity song we used to sing all the time. I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic. You remember? Yes. And so the whole point of that song was you sing it as fast as you can and try not to get tongue-tied. I'm alive, awake, alert, enthusiastic. What a great way to start your day, right? As soon as you roll out of bed, you're singing the song. You sing it faster and faster and building it up. So we are alive. We are alive in the life of God. That song pretty much says it all about us because we're filled with God life. And are you fully awake or are you just still kind of asleep some of the time? We know people in our lives that are a little bit asleep, kind of trying to sleep through the whole pandemic, right? Ignoring kind of what's going on. Maybe some of that is okay, but I think we can stay asleep no longer. I think we have to wake up and we have to become that light that we came here to be. And so alert, what does alert mean? I looked it up. It means we're paying attention. It means that we are looking for what it is we are, and it means that we're on our toes. It means that we're noticing what we're noticing. We're paying attention. We're vigilant, especially with our thoughts, right? And enthusiasm is not only starting the fire of whatever it is that we're passionate about, but it's also the staying power that we can stay with it and continue until we have completion of whatever it is that we're passionate about. It's about taking life less seriously, about taking ourselves less seriously, about riding more merry-go-rounds, cutting more daisies, smelling the roses, slowing down. It's really more about that. Maybe it's more about taking more chances. The more we're alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic, honestly, the better our lives are. Because life is fundamentally about a matter of growing. It's about our soul growing, and we need passion to experience that. And today's daily word was really good. It was about passion, but I want to switch that affirmation. Instead of saying, my purpose fuels my passion, I want to say, my passion fuels my purpose. A few days ago, the daily word was eager, and I absolutely love that because it talked about I'm eager and enthusiastic about my life. It was about saying yes to life, using that yes word, knowing willingness is the beginning of opportunities for us to move forward in our soul growth, to express more of our divine nature, because we choose to cooperate with that divine flow. So here we are. We're in the 4th week of talking about zeal, because that's been our focus for the month of our 12 powers. And we're also in the 2nd week of our Adventure in Faith book, which is a Sue Monk kid book. And she has this great book, When the Heart Waits. And this is what our groups are studying. And some of you are just doing it on your own. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what she said, because I thought this was a wonderful part of chapter 2. She says, as I returned to the guest quarters, I noticed a monk, ski cap pull over his ears, sitting perfectly still beneath a tree. There was such reverence in his silhouette, such tranquil sturdiness, that I paused to watch. He was the picture of waiting. Later, I sought him out. I saw you today sitting beneath the tree, just sitting there so still. How is it that you can wait so patiently in the moment? I can't seem to get used to the idea of doing nothing. He broke into this wonderful grin. Well, there's a problem right there, young lady, he said. You've bought into this cultural myth that when you're waiting, you're doing nothing. Then he took his hands and placed them on my shoulders and peered straight into my eyes and said, I hope you'll hear what I'm about to tell you. I hope you'll hear it down to your toes. When you're waiting, you're not doing nothing. You're doing the most important something that there is. You're allowing your soul to grow up. If you can't be still and wait, you can't become what God created you to be. Isn't that lovely? That whole chapter, which she calls Quickaholic spirituality. I absolutely resonated with that. It's all about hurry, 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 isn't it? It's like we can't wait for anything. It's instant everything. Instant coffee, instant potatoes, instant fast food. Everything's fast. If it's not quick and easy, we don't want anything to do with that. What happened to the joy of preparing a meal together? How fun it was. I remember growing up with my mom in the kitchen, you know, how fun it was to be able to cook and do things. We avoid our lives, you see, by moving faster and faster all the time. Like that's going to keep us from having pain or suffering or any other thing in our life. It doesn't really work that way, you see. We don't like waiting for anything. We have very little delayed gratification, as a matter of fact. Life moves at this staggering pace, and we hesitate to turn off our phones, our iPads, our iPods, our computers, and just unplug. We're hesitant because we might miss something. What if we miss a post? What if we miss what somebody's going through? We do it to ourselves by believing that we can't slow down and take time for ourselves. I looked up that whole word about allow. I absolutely love that word. And so I looked it up, and it says to give the necessary time or opportunity for. When we are allowing it, we're sort of letting go. I know for some of you that's kind of scary. To let go and let Spirit be in charge. To let go and let life unfold the way it's supposed to unfold for you. But this is when ego needs to take the back seat. So my question to you is, are you taking the time that you need, that's necessary for yourself to allow for soul growth? Because nobody can answer that but you, because it's an inside job. I think it's the whole reason we came into this incarnation, is to know that it's okay just to be. We don't have to be doings all the time. We're human doings instead of human beings. We should be being more, right? So this whole chapter about Quickaholic spirituality so resonated with me. She said that there are 4 rules of the fast-moving culture. She gives us the first one: all lines must keep moving. Okay? Do you know how when you get into a bank or something, she's talking about going into the bank and there's all these lines and you're trying to pick the shortest one, pick the one that's going, because we can't stand the thought of waiting in line. And so Disney figured this out years ago, and they know that they make those snake lines because it's a sort of an optical illusion. If it's snaking around, you can't really see that it's not moving very fast, because at least it's moving, right? All lines must keep moving. Isn't that interesting how we've gotten so that we can't even stand in line? She's talking about how she would just leave a place if she got there and the line was too long. And I have to tell you, I've done the same thing. I have done that exact same thing. Gone into a restaurant and there are people stacked out the door. It's like, oh, nope, I don't need to eat here. I'll go someplace else, right? It's okay to stand and wait in line. You might meet a new friend. You know, there's something good could come from all of that. So the second one is we have this idea that we have to make life happen. This important principle in waiting is we have to let it happen. We're not supposed to make it happen. That's just a myth. We're supposed to let it. The key word here is let, just like allow. The third one is eat dessert first. She said, have you seen the t-shirt? Life is too short. Eat dessert first. Well, that tells you a little bit about our consciousness and about what's going on. You know, we don't even want to stay and enjoy our meal. We're going to jump right to dessert. What if we miss dessert? We couldn't miss dessert. So it's that attitude. She's talking about this concept of we don't have any delayed gratification whatsoever. And so sometimes that pain we have to go through while waiting, we keep pushing it down and pushing it down because we don't want to deal with it right now, right? Her counselor told her the pain won't kill you, but running from it might. So there's consequences that come when we don't deal with the pain that is facing us right here, right now. We tend to avoid unpleasantness. We just don't want to mess with it, you know. But in order to really work through it, we have to feel the pain. We have to touch that stillness inside, become quiet, go inside, work with our soul in healing whatever it is, the grief or the sadness or the loss or whatever it is. It's absolutely necessary. The fourth one is yeasting. She said the soul is the patient part of us, and waiting is the yeasting of the human soul. You know how that bread doesn't rise until it's got that right amount of yeast in it? So if we want to rise and grow our soul, we have to yeast our soul. We have to have time. We have to be quiet and still and go inside, and we have to feel our feelings. It's okay. We're not going to die from feeling our feelings. We're going to come out on the other side and be stronger for it. Whatever it is, however hard it is to look at it. You know, the Bible is completely chocked full of scriptures about waiting, about being still, about waiting for God. And I was just amazed because I had one picked out, you know, that I wanted to talk about today, and then I went and I found another one, and then I found another one. It was like, oh my gosh, I don't know which one I'm going to use today. I'm going to read you the one I started out with, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of other ones. We're in Psalm 27, verse 14. Very simply, it says, wait for the Lord. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Wait for that guidance. But also besides that, there's a fabulous scripture in Exodus 14:14 that says, the Lord will fight for you, and you have only to keep still. I thought that was absolutely perfect. And probably the topper of all the scriptures about this concept is be still and know that I am God. You know, Psalm 46, verse 10. All of these in the Old Testament. I find that interesting, right? Be still and know that I am God. That is the secret, isn't it? To know who you are. Isn't that principle too? God is, I am. I am the expression of God. And so how can you know what kind of expression you are if you're rushing around all the time, staying busy and not pulling apart? Jesus was the best example of pulling apart from the masses and going to pray and meditate in the garden. He always did it. He took time apart. He knew that he needed to do that. Thomas Merton, said, the imagination should be allowed a certain amount of time to browse around. We have to allow our mind to have time to think about things, to contemplate things. And then answers come more easily instead of trying to will something to happen, to force it, to make it happen. We let it and we allow it. A completely different energy, is it not? In letting and allowing. Sue Kidd says, from the ground of waiting, you will experience a seedbed of creativity and growth that allows us to do the daring and to break through to newness. That's what we're looking for. We don't want to do things the way we've always done things. We want to do things in a new way. We want to be okay to be in the question. Whatever that question, for each of us, it's different because our souls are all growing in different ways, learning different things. And so our question is different, but we have to be able to sit still and be in the question. I don't know about you, but I want that. I want to be able to feel like I have that time to pull apart. So how do we start? Well, I think a really good example is Jesus's non-resistance, because what happens is we know what to do, but we have resistance about doing it. We know we need to meditate. We know we need to pray, but we have to make time for it. It has to be a priority. We have to set aside in our day that time that we're going to give focus to that. So we have to have no resistance about that, because what happens is our mind creates all kinds of resistance, doesn't it? It's like, I don't have time to do that. I've got to go do this. I've got to do that. I've got this and this and this, and I've got to meet this person and blah, 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 blah. We have all this busyness we're creating when the most important thing is to be still and know and remember who you are. It's the most important thing. Non-resistance is taking the practical and spiritual approach to life. Let's think about this application of non-resistance. Because without having to consciously decide, we will choose that open door, that open gate. Because it's there and it's easy. If we're just letting and allowing, we won't struggle about which door to go through. If that one's open right there, we'll just go, right? The resistance to being still and allowing soul growth is simply in our minds. We try to push ahead instead of going through that open gate. All we need to do, tap into that zeal that's in our hearts, because our heart will never, ever misguide us. The heart, the soul of us wants us to do that which we came here to do and learn in this incarnation. We have everything we need to do whatever it is that we came here to do, but we have to be still and know what that is. We have to look for the good, don't we? We have to expect the good. We have to know that it's coming. We have to keep our eye on what brings us passion. And then we let go and we let God. Standing in our faith and our strength, our other powers that we have, our other of our 12 powers, we stand in our strength and our faith, and we know that because God is in us, as us, and through us, we will express that which we came here to do and be. If we just let our soul show us the way, because it's all about growth on this planet, isn't it? I mean, isn't that what we signed up for, these crazy lessons that we're learning? I mean, things that we did this time around, we won't have to do next time around, because we've already been through a lot of loss and heartache and weird things these last 18 months or so. We let go and we let God, and we see just what is possible in our lives. What is it that is possible? I was reading, the Course in Miracles guy, Alan Cohen, has a blog, and he sent a thing out in this last week or so that I thought described what our work is right now. He said, when eagles fly at a low altitude, crows can come and peck at them. At such a moment, the eagle, with a larger, stronger wingspan, ascends to an altitude that the crow cannot possibly reach. So fear, disease, polarization function at that low, dense vibration, you see. Joy, well-being, and healing function at a much higher vibration. So when you maintain your high vibration, you cannot be touched by negation. And you invite others to meet you at that higher frequency and find well-being for themselves as well. Because they're in your wonderful energy, right? We are the ones that the world is waiting for us to stay in that vibration. We need to model this behavior so more people get it and more people wake up and find their enthusiasm and their zeal. We need to live from a place of joy and that place of zeal. Okay, enough preaching. It's time for a joke. Okay, so this guy's walking down the street and he sees a sign in this guy's yard and it says, "Talking dog for sale." And he's so intrigued, he knocks and he goes in, and so he goes up to the dog and he said, "So what have you been doing with your life?" And the dog said, "Well, you know, I served in the Alps and rescued others during my time, and I also served in Afghanistan. I did a tour of duty there, and now I'm going to the nursing homes and I'm reading to the residents there." And the guy's flabbergasted by this. And he says to the man, "Why would you want to sell such a magnificent animal? That dog that talks." And the owner said, "Because he's a liar. He never did any of that." I want to close today with, I get this daily Om, and they have a blog every day, and it was just, I thought this was so perfect for us today. It says, "Modern life compels us to rush because we feel pressured to make the most of our time each day. The activities that sustain us, rejuvenate us, and help evolve us are often the first to be sacrificed when we are in a hurry or faced with a new obligation. It is important we remember that there is more to life than achieving success, making money, and even caring for others. Your spiritual needs should occupy an important spot on your list of priorities. Each task you undertake and each relationship you nurture draws from a wellspring of your spiritual vitality. Taking the time to engage in spiritually fulfilling activities replenishes that well and readies you to face another day. Making time for the activities that contribute to your spiritual growth has little to do with being selfish and everything to do with your well-being. Regularly taking the time to focus on your soul's needs ensures that you are able to nurture yourself. Spend time with your thoughts. Experience tranquility and expand your spiritual boundaries. That is my wish for each and every one of you, that you get to that place. And that's the way it is, and so it is. Amen. Thank you. Now is the time in our service when we get to give from our good back into the community. So whether we're giving here or whether we're using PayPal or the Breeze link, we are incredibly grateful for all of your generosity. And so let's say our blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so. And so it is. Namaste, everyone.